Hi, and welcome to this tutorial by the Bead Chest. Today we are going to be making a double wrap bracelet using our Java gooseberry beads. Here's your materials list. You will need about 4 feet of 1.5mm round leather, wildfire thread, GS hypo cement glue, a needle, scissors, a clipboard and a clip. I really like these mini clipboards and binder clips. You can find them at any office supply store or some big box stores, but if you can't find those, then a regular size clipboard will work too. And then you'll also need a ruler or measuring tape, a button, and then the beads of your choosing. I chose to use these gooseberry Java beads. Their cylinder shape is perfect for this project, and they also come in a wide variety of colors. And then I'm going to use some of these faceted brass beads. Since they are approximately the same height, they will lay really nicely to the Java beads. Click the link below to go to thebeadchest.com to browse your options. Alright, let's get started. We're going to cut a wingspan of wildfire, or about 6 feet. Then go ahead and thread your needle. Okay, now we're going to take our piece of leather. I like to use about 2 feet per single wrap, so for this bracelet, since we're going to be doing a double wrap, I cut 4 feet. And then we're going to string the button on, making sure it's centered on the leather and that the ends match up. And then push the button all the way down, and then we're going to tie a knot to secure it. I'm going to give an extra tug on this knot to make sure it's nice and secure, and then we're going to attach the bracelet to the clipboard. I'm using a binder clip here to keep the bracelet in place, but if you don't have one, you could always use some tape. Now we're going to attach our thread to our leather. So we're going to take the length that we cut earlier and tie it around the bottom strand of leather. Just a simple knot works great. And then tie 2 additional knots to make sure it's nice and secure. Once that's tied, add a small drop of hypo cement glue to the knot and then let it dry at least 15 to 20 minutes before you cut the tail of the thread. Now it's time to add some beads. So you're going to pick up a bead with your needle and then bring the needle through the center of your bracelet. Position the bead so it sits neatly between the 2 pieces of leather. And then you're going to bring your needle and thread around the top piece of leather, back down through the bead, and behind the bottom piece of leather, as you can see here. Pull the needle all the way through and make sure the thread is tight. You want to make sure that you have tight tension, but don't pull too tight where the thread cuts into the leather. Now it's time to add your next bead. So go ahead and pick up another bead and just repeat that same process. If you're using beads that vary in size a little bit, like these handmade Java beads do, it's a good idea to taper or graduate them so you're not using the smallest bead in the bunch right next to the largest bead. As long as they are all around the same size, then they should lay nicely. Continue weaving the beads in between your 2 pieces of leather. I'm going to add a faceted brass spacer after every third Java bead just to break up my pattern a little bit. Continue weaving beads onto your bracelet. At some point, you'll need to make more room on your clipboard to keep weaving. So all you'll need to do is remove the bracelet from the clipboard, scooch it back, and then reclip it. Once you think your bracelet might be long enough, remove it from the clipboard and test it by wrapping it around your wrist. This length is perfect because there's just enough room to make a button loop. Now tie a knot at the end of your beads, just an overhand knot is great, and then you're going to weave the thread back through the last few beads on the bracelet to tie it off. It's helpful to tie a few knots by slipping the needle under an existing thread and making a simple knot. Continue to weave through those last couple of beads to make sure the knots can't come undone. I'll usually tie 2 to 3 knots when I'm tying off a thread and weave through 3 to 4 beads. Once your thread is secure, dot the knots with hypo cement and wait for it to dry. After about 15 to 20 minutes, you can cut off the tails of your thread. Now we're going to tie the button loop. So measure your button to see how much space you need to leave between the existing knot and the new knot that you're going to tie. Then go ahead and tie that knot. And once again, just make sure you're pulling that knot nice and tight. And now we can cut the remaining leather. I personally like to leave a little tail at the end of the knot because I think it's a nice addition to the bracelet. The last step is to glue the leather knots. So take a little bit of glue and dab it on the knot behind the button and then the 2 knots on the other end of the bracelet. And that's a wrap! Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more beading videos and visit thebeadchest.com for the written tutorial and materials. Thanks for watching!